We would not be having this conversation if I was 25 years old.
Parents use school as babysitting. People willingly give up control just so they can have convenience.
But what do you say to a single mother who's waitressing 3 different jobs trying to make ends meet and she's got 2 kids?
They say it takes community to raise a child, and that's true.
We don't have any family here. It's hard raising 2 kids with 0 family around and 0 to help. I have people like, oh yeah, I'll watch your kid. Like, yeah, I'll bet you will. I'm not a very trusting person.
We've kind of connected because we're older young dads. Right?
I think it's important to introduce things to your kids at an early age. I don't want the gun to be the forbidden fruit. Everybody's on the same page. We're not teaching X, Y, and Z.
At some point, you have to stay. This is where I'm going to stay. This is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to raise my family. And you got to make a stand.
Everybody is doing homeschool, and it's happening more and more and more.
You can try to control life all you want. Sometimes God has a bigger plan.
What do you think we should be doing?
I think we're supposed to be doing the opposite of what we think we should do. Always. I think if everyone tells you to be greedy, be selfless. If everyone tells you to be mad and angry and get revenge, maybe we should be more understanding and accepting. Be strict in our core belief and our core values.
How can you be more understanding and accepting of taking a 5-year-old kid and 5-year-old male and turning him into a female? How can you be more understanding and accepting to that?
I think we teach our parents to be better parents. Hold parents accountable to do what they're supposed to do. I think we've created a society where parents, we blame the school system for allowing this type of indoctrination within our kids.
Yeah, but this is an ideology.
Yeah, but
it's being forced on an entire population.
But if you raise your kids right, it shouldn't bother them. If you spend the time to educate your children, to explain to them what's going on in the world, if you spend the time with them, these outside forces actually don't matter that much. It's because parents use school as babysitting. We use YouTube and we use social media as babysitting. We want as much as most parents hate the public school system, we love the public school system because that means I don't have to watch them for 8 hours. We say we are so against it, but we willingly give them over.
I mean, I would love to agree with you, but what do you say to a single mother who's waitressing 3 different jobs trying to make ends meet and she's got 2 kids?
I'm sorry. Life sucks.
How's she going to do it?
Family. There's people, there's community. I think communities need to be raising children together, not school systems, not government, especially not government. I think we have to help each other out. But God forbid that I watch my neighbor's kids because I know that she has 2 jobs and 2 kids that she will work with. How many people that live in the cities don't even know who their next door neighbor is anymore? We used to grow up now. Actually, where I live now, I love my neighbors. My daughter will go running into my neighbor's house. People don't even know who their next door neighbor is any longer. They say it takes community to raise a child, and that's true because a community is supposed to have a certain set of shared values. That's why you live together. That's why you live near each other.
But it doesn't have that anymore.
And that's why we need to bring that back.
But I'm just saying, you know, for somebody like me or you to hire somebody or whatever to help us or get family, that's different. But I mean, look at how many broken homes there are in the country. Look at how many people are living under the poverty line. They don't have those luxuries. I'm not saying all of them don't, but a lot of them don't. And a lot of people work their ass off just to try to make ends meet so that they can give their kids the best life they possibly can.
Correct. And that's the hard part of all of it. Sometimes it takes selfless sacrifice.
All I'm saying is I don't think it's as simple as just being more accepting.
Yeah, I think accepting is a really broad term. But if the government says we have a new government and they are honest, society is still broken. It's actually not going to improve much. Replacing the government actually doesn't improve society at all. Replacing the president, maybe it slows down the degradation of society a little bit. But say Trump ends up being the best president ever. society is still on a downhill trend. It's not going to change it. These ideologies don't go away. The fact that we are boarding kids at a monumental rate won't change. Even if you pass laws, they'll just find places that allow it. Just the fact that half the country gets divorced every other day, that doesn't all of a sudden change. That creates broken homes. The president doesn't change the societal problems that we have. Society has to change the societal problems that we have. And then I think we end up with better leaders.
I'm with you. I am in no way saying that one man is going to change all of what's going on. It's impossible.
And I think that's, I worry because I think there are a lot of people in the country that think, okay, Trump's going to win. He's going to get in charge, and life is going to be good again. Sorry, guys. Sorry to break it to you. It's probably really similar to what you're living now. Maybe a little bit different. Maybe the narrative and what you hear on the internet will be different. But if you have a broken home, it's still going to be broken. If you have trouble, family problems within the household, they're not going to go away. If your kid is addicted to the phone and wants to spend more time playing video games and spend time having a conversation with your dad or with you, that doesn't change. And unless you change those problems, society actually won't improve at all. You can replace it with whoever you want at the top. My daughter and your son are approximately the same age, which is, I think, another reason why we've kind of connected, because we're older young dads. Right? Like, I imagine the day that we take our kids to school, maybe first grade, and we're going to be the old guys.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's going to be maybe 10 or 15 years younger.
Yeah.
And by the time they go to college or whatever they decide to do in life, at high school graduation, we're really going to be the old guys. I think that may be a blessing in a way. Do I wish that I had children earlier? Yes. Do I think I'd handle it differently? Definitely. I think that God gave me a child at the time I was supposed to have one. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'd be as attentive if I had one earlier. Actually, whatever I was pursuing at the time and whatever I was into would have probably been more important than my kid. I think that's how most people live their lives at a young age. I think it's really difficult. But when you have a child older, you kind of appreciate it a little bit more. Part of you is like, maybe I'm never going to have one, you know? And then you have one. And it changes the way you live your life. But you're going to be the old dad. How are you dealing with that?
I already am the old dad. I'm fine with it. You know, I look at younger parents. I mean, there's people there's 21-year-olds with kids my age or my kids' age. And I look at you just have so much more life experience being an older parent. And to be able to pass that on, I think it's a blessing. You know, I'm not going to be the 21-year-old dad running, touchdown passes with my kid, most likely, and he'll probably be kicking my ass by the time he's 13. But the life experience, and I hate to say wisdom because I don't consider myself to be like a wise man, but you know what I'm getting at. We've learned things. We've been through things. Forgiveness. I couldn't even we would not be having this conversation if I was 25 years old talking about forgiveness. It would be, let's get on target and shoot more bad guys, or let's go to the bar, or let's go chase some very immature thinking. And so, to be a more mature parent, to be able to pass some of the life lessons that I've been able to experience because I've been around longer, I think is really going to benefit my kids.
Actually, I just thought about it. A friend of mine told me it took him 12 years. But what he did was he read the entire Bible over the course of 12 years. And in the margin, and every time he read it, he left a note that's relevant to his child. And when he got done reading the whole Bible and left notes on every passage in the margin, he gave it to them.
It's a good idea.
It's almost like these life lessons that they can keep for the rest of their life, that they can go back to. One day you're there, you're not there, maybe they're off in college, and they're going to run into some sort of existential problem or crisis or something that they need more guidance on. And not only will they see scripture, but they'll see your advice next to it. I love that idea. I'm actually going to start doing that. I just heard that the other day.
I think I'm going to steal that too.
How great of an idea is that? I love it so much. And I think that's something I'm going to do. It's going to take a lot of work. It's not easy to go through the whole Bible and leave notes every time you do it. But I recently heard that and I was like, that would be the best thing to leave my kid. You have a son and a daughter. How is that different? No, better question. When are you going to tell your son your stories?
Probably when he asks.
Because you got some wild ones. And one day he's going to be curious. What did that do? And it's going to be like, oh, I don't know if I can tell him this one.
I will probably just tell him when he asks.
How honest do you think you'll be?
Depends how old he is. But I mean, probably more honest than I should be.
I think it's better. How is it different between how you view your son and your daughter? Because again, I asked maybe not the most interesting questions, but you have such interesting life story. You have such a different perspective than maybe almost anybody watching or listening. If you're able to kind of decipher that, I feel like there's other people that be like, all right, my kind of small stories.
How do I
approach them differently?
Well, right now, my daughter's only 7 months old and she doesn't want anything to do with anybody other than mom. So I approach with extreme caution with my daughter. And with my son, you know, we were talking about planting seeds. I plant seeds very early. I mean, he's 2 years old. We started talking to him about private parts. Nobody touches those. Your weenie and your butt. Nobody touches them but mom and dad. You got that? And you know, it's funny, but he knows, man. He knows. We start changing his diaper and he's like, weenie in my butt. Private parts. And I introduced him to firearms. I hung a firearm in my son's room, but he came home and there was a American-made Winchester 357 lever-action rifle antique hanging on his wall, way higher than he could ever.
Yeah, calm down, guys.
Yeah, on a ladder.
Calm down.
But I want him to see these things, you know, and I want him to. I don't want the gun to be the forbidden fruit, and I have a back deck. I shoot off my back deck every day, and every time I get the gun, he starts yelling gun. He runs over to the den room and climbs on the couch to look off the back window to see dad shoot. He knows not to touch it. He knows guns are dangerous. He knows the difference between a pistol and a rifle. He knows how to load a lever action now. And
really?
He knows if he ever sees a gun, then he needs to tell mom and dad. And so he'll point at the gun. He's not even potty trained yet. And he'll point and say, mom and dad. Guns are dangerous, mom and dad, you know, but it's not like this forbidden thing that he only gets to see and he can't touch ever. And you know, I don't let him hold it, but I let him drop the bullets down the tube of the lever action. And I think it's important to introduce things to your kids at an early age, especially with all the shit that we see going on with the sex trafficking rings. I mean, here in Franklin, they just busted one that was one of the biggest sex trafficking rings in the whole country.
Really?
Yeah. They say this is also one of the safest places to live in the whole country. They just busted a soccer coach a couple of months ago who has been drugging little boys and molesting them, and they found it on a phone in a pizza shop because the guy left his phone and he had all these videos of what he's doing to little boys.
Here?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and so you need to, like, get these... Sorry, you were asking me how I approached my son, and it was probably not supposed to be this heavy, but I mean, I think you got to put this stuff in your kids' ears, and it doesn't have to be fear-based. You know, it's just, hey, that's your weenie, that's your butt. Nobody touches that but mom and dad. If anybody ever does, you tell us, and he knows. You know, and that's important. And I don't think parents do that. You know, it goes back to the laziness stuff. I don't think, you know, we're all giving the younger generations shit about being addicted to TikTok and Instagram. Dude, I'm just as addicted to it as anybody else, and I know you probably are too, you know? But you can't let that stuff consume you, and you have to come to the realization that, hey man, like, life is more important than this fake shit that you're holding in your hand, that you're getting all this, you're getting fed all the time. And sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
I feel like at some point in our kids' future, in that generation, they will be presented a conscious decision. Do you want to plug in and be a part of this new technology Borg that's in this world, where you give up control, you give up thought, you give up free will, but you live a really good life? Versus, do you want not have access to this? Do you not want to be given the extra the extra conveniences of life, but you get to be free? I feel like that will be a conscious decision that our children will be presented the option for sure. And I think most 80%, 90% of the world will choose to give up their free will and thought for convenience. I think there's nothing about this world now that shows me that majority of people won't comply. I think we're being eased into it. I try to raise my kid as though she will face that decision in her life, hoping that she will take the harder road of being, I'm going to live free, I'm going to let my mind be free, but I'm going to have to sacrifice a lot for it. Because I really do feel like that's going to be the drawn line in the sand at one point in society. And it will be a conscious choice. I don't think they force it on you. I don't think they actually ever force anything on you. I think people willingly choose to give up our freedoms. Hey, I'll sign this form and I'll sign up for TSA pre-check because I want 15 minutes on my convenience back. I will get vaccinated in New York City because I want to go to the restaurant, because I want to go to the bar. God forbid I have to stay home and everyone's partying. But shoot me 5 times, I want to go to the bar. People willingly give up control just so they can have convenience. For little things. There will be a time where that decision is for your mind. I think about that all the time. I want to make sure that my child, given that opportunity, and it's going to be her choice. She's going to have that decision when she's old enough where I have no say any longer. I pray that she makes the right decision. And it's going to be the harder road to take. And I think that happens in our lifetime for sure. I think about it all the time. What do you think about that?
I think she's got a good dad paving the way, and that'll come into play.
Doesn't always work out the way you want it to. You know what I mean?
And I think, I think you're right. I think we will hit that point. But I also, I talked a lot of negative things today. Lazy Americans, people not wanting to raise their kids. But on the other hand, we're seeing a lot of positivity. We are seeing a lot of people rise up, and we're seeing people not take this stuff anymore. And, one thing about this state and this town, Franklin is like the homeschool mecca. Everybody's doing homeschool. Everybody is doing homeschool, and it's happening more and more and more. In fact, to be honest with you, I don't know any parents in my immediate circle whose kids are going to public or private school. Every single person is planning on or is doing or has raised their kids through homeschool.
Is that what you're going to do?
That's probably what I'm going to do. I have an idea that I wanted to do. It's getting hard to find people to do it, but my idea is, I think, are you trying to wrap this up? Because this could go on.
No.
But
we can go tomorrow if you want.
I'm very concerned about the schools. I know you are too. A lot of people are. But back to kind of the single mom thing, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm extremely, my schedule is stacked. I know you know what that's like too. And I like what I do, and I don't want to give everything up because there are a lot of benefits to where I'm at and things that I can give my kid that other people that don't want to work this hard can't. And so anyways, one thing is that we worry about is the socialization of homeschool, which now they have these co-ops, and I'm not too familiar with that yet, but apparently it's a big burden off parents every once in a while to go to a co-op a couple days a week. The other thing is the time commitment from us as parents. And, we don't have any family here. It's hard raising two kids with zero family around and zero people to help out, and, I have people like, oh yeah, I'll watch your kid. Like, yeah, I'll bet you will. Oh, thanks. But
I'm good,
cool.
bro.
I met you 2 days ago. Never gonna fucking happen. But to share, the burden with other families, I think I think it's helpful. And so my idea was, if you had a group of people that you align your values with, and like a good network of people with kids right around the same age, I think it would be great if everybody could pitch in to purchase a property, and it turns into a real estate investment. You put that property in some sort of a trust, and you put in 20%, I put in 20%, this guy over here puts in 50%, and the other guy puts in 10%. Well, there's 100%. And so everybody owns that percentage of that plot of land or building or whatever it is. And it's essentially a real estate investment. It's not a school. It's a real estate investment that just so happens to be where homeschooling takes place. And you could hire a teacher, and you have well-rounded parents who all have different expertise: doctors, attorneys, financial people, Navy SEALs, whatever, gardeners, and you teach entrepreneurs, and you get the core curriculum out, and then you also bring in each parent as a resident expert on something that actually is important in life, like how to balance a checkbook or how to take on debt responsibly and pay that, all these different things that aren't taught in school. And then at the end, when the kids have been raised, the property gets sold, the trust dissolves, and the percentage of the equity in the initial investment goes back. So you had $100,000 investment. Matt Kim put in 50%. We sell it for $200,000. Well, now you just, doubled your money. So it's been hard putting that together. My network is not that big here locally because I'm not a very trusting person. And but I think that's a model that people all across the country, all across the world, if you're dealing with the kind of public schools that we are, I think that's a viable solution, and it's scalable to, oh, well, this isn't going to work for people that are below the poverty line. Yep, probably not. But if you get enough of you, then it will, you know, and you just make damn sure whoever you're bringing into this venture, this real estate investment venture with you, everybody's on the same page. We're not teaching X, Y, and Z. We are teaching A, B, and C, you know, and I mean, what do you think of that?
I like that idea, actually. I've never thought about it before, but because we go back and forth all the time. Where are we going to send our kids to school? Where are we going to send them to school? Actually, she was just here. You just missed her. And we think about it all the time, like, what are we going to do? And we tried to move to a more conservative area, and we recently did. But even then, wherever you go, the craziness leaks into your neighborhood. And then what are you going to do? 5 years later, you're going to move again? You're going to move again? You're going to move again? Yeah. Like, how many times and how long can you outrun the craziness?
Yeah.
At some point, you have to stay. This is where I'm going to stay. This is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to raise my family. And you got to make a stand. But it's your children. I don't want my daughter to be in the middle of the battleground. It really comes down to a alternate way to create community around raising your children. That's really what it is. To simplify it, right? It's just community. And everyone's bought in at a certain point so that there's interest there, so that everyone shares the burden. I like the idea a lot.
You know, I mean, if you got 100 people to put in 1%, well, I mean, that's still, it's, all I'm saying is it is possible for every financial situation. It's how much work are you going to put into making it happen, you know, but it is possible for everybody to figure something like this out with that method.
And when I think about schooling, because in most things in life, I try to think in a way that's fair for everybody. I at least try to be understanding of people that may not be in certain positions, to at least have a good heart and open heart about being better for society. When it comes to my kid, I don't care if you're rich or poor. Like, I just want what's best for my kid.
Yeah.
It's a very selfish thing, actually. And I feel like I have to be. If anything in life, if I have something to eat and the guy next to me doesn't have anything to eat and we're sitting right next to each other, take my food, I'll share it with you. Not a big deal. It's me. When it comes to my kid, and it's my kid's food and she needs to eat, I don't care if you're starving. You can starve all you want. I got to make sure she's fed. It's like this inherent kind of protective nature that comes out when you're children. So I don't think it has to work for everybody. Actually, I don't care if it works for everyone. And maybe that's really selfish to say. I just want it to work for my kid.
Yeah.
You know, I think trying to figure out a situation and a model that works for everyone, maybe that's too difficult. Maybe it's figure out a model that worked for you. And if it works, you know, let other people copy it or let them not. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's your kid. Like, that has to be the priority. Maybe you're making the problem too big.
Well, maybe you should move up here and we'll open this together.
Apparently, there's not much for sale up this way. I'm competing with the Californians that driving up the price. Can I roll it back 5 years ago?
But I really like that idea. I think it would work. And I mean, we're not going to stop. We're going to continue to look for families that would be interested in something like that, you know, and
I think that's interesting because I've spoken to a couple people that are part of kind of these state-sponsored homeschool co-ops. They receive government funding, etc. And what he told me, a guy I trust a lot, he told me the problem is he's been through a few of them. He said the biggest problem is that you end up mixing with the kids that couldn't make it in public school, maybe got kicked out, they had problems, they had social problems, they couldn't get along, so the parents are forced to homeschool. And then now you're actually mixing your kids with worse than it was at public school.
yeah,
Because the half of the school is people that actually care, that want to raise their kids differently and bring in along, you know, hopefully shared values. And the other half of school is the absolute opposite. They couldn't put their kids to public school because public school didn't work out. And now you have this really weird dynamic. And he said it's actually more difficult going through some of these co-ops,
Interesting.
which I never thought of.
Yeah, I would think the majority of people that are going to put the effort into homeschool their kids are very good parents.
And it's not. A lot of parents who homeschool their kids, they're like, all right, here's some curriculum. I downloaded it from whatever the homeschool place is. Here, kid, do this and do this for 1 hour and go watch TV the entire day.
Maybe that's your area. Every single person I've talked to that's homeschooling their parents, I would say are
Active.
yes, very in tune, concerned parents. I've not seen anything like that, but I wouldn't run in a circle like that either. So, yeah,
I think schooling is tough. I think about it all the time, especially with young kids. Hopefully, we'll have a second soon. And how many kids do you think you'll have? Are you done?
I'm done.
Are you
2. We got a boy and a girl, and that's it.
done?
That's it.
I think I'd have 10 if I could.
If I would have started in my 20s, then yeah,
Why
I would
not?
have more. But
You're young. You're healthy. You're healthier than most.
I don't have the energy that I did at a 25-year-old, but we're pulling the plug.
Pulling the plug.
Yep.
It's funny. I had a friend who had 4 daughters. And after 4, he was like, I'm done. And he, had his cut and whatever else, right? So that he can't have more kids. And one day, she's pregnant. 5th daughter. So he goes into the doctor's office and he says, somebody's in trouble. Either you fucked up or you fucked up. But one of you guys fucked up. You never know. You never know what you get. And there he is. He's got 5 daughters and his wife. He's got 6 girls in the house.
Oh man.
It's not easy. Brian, if you're out there, bro, I don't know how you do it, man.
Yeah.
You can try to control life all you want. Sometimes God has a bigger plan. I think about that a lot. God's plan. Something I struggle with. I feel like I constantly want to figure out what God's plan is. We'll never figure that out.
Not until it's over.
Not until it's over. Appreciate you, Shawn.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for coming out. And maybe one of my favorite people in the world.
Right back at you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Cheers.
Oh.